Welcome back to Tarot by the Bay. I'm David. I'm answering a viewer question asking what the future holds for Merrick Garland, the embattled Attorney General in the Biden administration. Can't catch a break on either side of the aisle, really. You know, the Republicans attack him for, not getting on Hunter Biden and, blaming him for stuff that happened during the Trump administration, so on and so forth. The Democrats are on him because it took him a long time to really get investigations going again in the January 6th insurrection and other investigations into Trump. It only seems like the minute that Jack Smith got named as a special counsel did all of a sudden these cases start moving forward and indictments were coming and so on and so forth. Even at a point where Joe Biden was saying that in a message to the AG that we don't need a ponderous, contemplative AG. We need an AG that needs to get to doing stuff. So, this guy gets it from all sides. Now, Linda G, amongst other readers, have seen that what she's seen with Merrick Garland is that the Attorney General's office and the Department of Justice in general was filled with a lot of pro-Trump people in key positions, and that these people need to be identified and moved out so that they couldn't hinder investigations going forward. I don't know if that's true or not, but that's what Linda says. And as we all know, she's a pretty powerful intuitive as far as intuitives go. So there's no reason to think that she's wrong on this one. I'm trying not to use a double negative. No reason to think she's wrong. She's probably right. It makes sense. They ran the same problem in the FBI. The FBI had a lot of Trumpers in it, and they still have a lot of Trumpers in it, and they've been moving some folks around so that the FBI can get investigations going. And if the FBI has it, DOJ has it too, because they tend to have a lot of conservative people in those divisions. They're drawn towards the FBI and DOJ. But how is Merrick Garland feeling? He's a couple years into the AG position. What's his energy level like? What does he feel about his current position? And maybe we can ask about what his future is looking like. Signifier is the King of Wands. For folks who have watched this channel for a while, the King of Wands has been my card for Merrick Garland or the Department of Justice. I'm tickled that this card came out now because I don't think I've done many readings on Merrick Garland. And usually when that card comes out, I've had to interpret it as the King of Wands. Now, when the King of Swords comes out, that's Jack Smith through and through and through and through. But this is a great card for Merrick Garland because this guy is pondering things. Now, he has the staff to take action, but he does tend to ponder a lot before he takes action. That's crossed with justice. Okay, so here we go. You got the Attorney General in the Department of Justice. He was supposed to be a Supreme Court justice, as we all recall, but the Senate, the Republicans in the Senate could just change the rules to whatever they want it to be to prevent him from taking his position. Yeah. He was supposed to be on the Supreme Court. And he is a judge through and through. He is the type of person who likes to sit down and evaluate the data, look at all the stuff. In this position right now, he's, as much as you don't want to believe it, he's actually well suited to be the Attorney General because he's very concerned and he thinks things through. And he wants to make sure justice is served and it's not biased. The problem is he would probably be a really good Attorney General in a time where the House isn't on fire and there's insurrectionists everywhere. You know what I mean? A faster acting Attorney General might be what we want. But the problem is that despite what we want, he might actually be the best person for the job at this time, even though we don't like the speed with which he moves. It might just be that you need somebody like this in this time in order to root things out so that justice can progress. In the past, we had the Tower card. This could be the insurrection. This could be him not being allowed into the Supreme Court. He probably, again, I suspect he would have loved to have been on the Supreme Court, but that got torpedoed by the Republicans. And then January 6th happened, leading up to Biden coming in and Garland being named the Attorney General. He's had to look at things differently. He's been stuck, I think this goes back to Linda G's reading. He has been stuck in a Department of Justice unlike any other Department of Justice. And he's had to be an AG looking at his department very differently than any previous AGs. Before, I'm sure folks in the Department of Justice had opinions, but generally speaking, they upheld the law. Now, the problem is he inherits a Department of Justice that has a strong bias and people willing to work on it. Cult members, if you will. And now he has to evaluate the folks in there and evaluate his situation so that he can move forward with justice. He couldn't do things the way things were done before. He couldn't just keep the people in place. There were people that were there to keep the king in power and bring the king back. And I think he realized that things have to be done a little bit differently, more slowly and deliberately in order for justice to be served. I think Linda G is right on this one. The one thing we don't have is quick messaging. The lesson to be learned is about, quick messaging, handling things quickly. Slow and ponderous. He likes to evaluate things and move in a slow and ponderous manner. However, sometimes you need to move quickly. You just do. And that may not be a strength of his. He is a ponderer. He is definitely, he's been described as that, and I believe that to be true. The outcome is the Page of Cups. What are we going to do with this? That's a MAGA card. Again, this could be getting folks who are MAGA folks out of the Department of Justice. But I think this is also people just looking at him in a different light. Maybe thinking he was going to be a certain way and he's not quite what they were hoping for. For lack of a better description, maybe a little bit of a disappointment. I know there's some people, some of the folks in my feeds right now that are jumping up and down typing, what do you mean a little bit of a disappointment? Huge disappointment. It's an unenviable position that he was put in. Truly was an unenviable position. If we assume that the Department of Justice had a bunch of Trumpers in there who were willing to block and inhibit investigations in order to keep Trump out of trouble. Sorry if that sounds a bit conspiracy theory-ish, but we've not had to deal with occult and propaganda like we've had to deal with Trump before. So what might sound like conspiracy theory could very well be true. And I don't mean a deep state kind of true. I mean literally people pledging their loyalties to Donald Trump instead of the Constitution. And certainly we have a whole lot of Republican political party members who seem to fall into that camp. So is it really a shock that there could be folks in the FBI or the DOJ that fall into that camp as well? I don't think it's much of a reach there. Again, entertainment purposes only. Don't need to piss off Merrick Garland. Okay. Will Merrick Garland step down from the AG position or will a new AG be appointed in 2025? How about that? Will a new Attorney General be appointed by Biden administration in 2025? Let's see. A little four-carder for that one. Deck is upside down. Four of coins. Holding on. Trying to hold on to the position underneath is the Hierophant. So It could be 4 years. He's going to hold on for 4 years, which would take him through the end of this year. Is that right? Yeah. That's fine. King of Pentacles, 3 of Wands, Strength card, and again, the Hierophant. I think he's okay. He's protected in his position for now. I do think that he's contemplating his leaving the AG position. This could be because he wants to get some Trump convictions in there. Or he could be evaluating what his next steps are. Becoming a justice, working for a law firm. Who knows what he would end up doing here. But no, yeah. Okay, you know what? I think he is planning on leaving. I would assume that in about 2025, I'm going to guess that he resigns his position. He's done it for 4 years. He's 3 years in, and he's looking for new opportunities. I think he wants to be a judge again and not the attorney general. I think being the judge plays to his strengths. Federal judge. Could even be on the Supreme Court. I'll ask. Because it's worth asking. But yeah, I see him going back to being a judge. And he got the 4 of coins here, which means, again, I think he's holding on for now. May not be sharing that opinion much, but I also think that 4 of coins is kind of like 4 years is enough. And then, I'd rather go be a judge again because I'm better at that. That's my thing. Okay, so will Merrick Garland eventually be placed on the Supreme Court? Because it would make sense, right? He got denied his position because the Republicans kept him off, and then Gorsuch got it. So will Merrick Garland be placed on the Supreme Court? Oh God, what the Republicans howl. It's just, payoff for the Trump witch hunt or something along those lines. Completely ignoring the fact that Merrick Garland should have already been on the Supreme Court and that they've done this to themselves. Will Merrick Garland be put on the Supreme Court? I think that's good enough. Let's find out. They're thinking about it. Strong consideration is going to be given to that. Let's see. What are we looking at here? Got the 10 of coins. Kind of the legacy. He would kind of be a classic judge on the Supreme Court. But again, he's also the type of person who thinks things through. We got a lot of coins here too. I wonder if the Federalist Society would back it up financially. Ace of Swords, the Moon card, and the Emperor. Okay. I think he'd like it. I think there's going to be actually, in some ways, I think there's going to be a push to have him be on the Supreme Court. Again, because it's kind of a justice thing. He should have been on it already. This was something that was already supposed to have happened. I'm wondering if this is this could be somebody leaving. I think this is somebody who's run their full time on this one. You could also make the argument legacy that he should have been on this already. And then we've got the Moon card, the mystery, the unknown part of it. There could already be negotiations going on behind the scenes that we don't know about putting him on there. I wouldn't doubt that. It'd be funny if he becomes the 10th Supreme Court Justice. The pausing I had here was, is this because somebody like Clarence Thomas or Alito or Gorsuch leaves or is asked to leave? Or is this them adding more justices that maybe have a limited tenure on the court? And that's a possibility as well. I don't know if it's decided yet how it's going to work, but my supposition is yes, he's going to be put on the Supreme Court, or he will certainly be considered for a position on the Supreme Court. when the next opening or openings comes up. Anything else? How about a message from Spirit in general for how we should view Merrick Garland? What would be a fair understanding of Merrick Garland and his position as Attorney General at this time? I think that would be a kind of an interesting question to get the answer to. What would Spirit like us to know about Merrick Garland and his current position as AG in this time frame? These cards kind of want to stay on top, so we'll do that. Queen of Wands. It's funny because I have him as the King of Wands, but we've got the Queen of Wands as the signifier. It could just be that, he brings a little bit more of a softer, contemplative energy to this position, and wisdom. It's funny because you think about it. You wouldn't describe Jeff Sessions as being feminine at all. I think you would describe him as kind of being toxic masculinity with short man syndrome. Bill Barr, you wouldn't describe as being feminine at all. Again, more toxic energy, sneakiness, and just conniving. Merrick Garland has a softer side to him. He doesn't come across as toxically masculine, right? He's got a more feminine quality to him, or more, I should say, more in touch with the divine feminine. And I think that's kind of what Spirit's trying to show with these two cards here. He's somebody who gets something done, but it's not necessarily in a tough guy masculine way. There's a gentler, more feminine wisdom to it. It's not just beating on the chest and being a manly man and just forcing your way on things. It's also temperance, that he is contemplative and he integrates things. He detoxifies things. This goes back to that theme that the Department of Justice was kind of corrupted and it needed cleansing. And it needed a little bit of a softer touch, especially not only the DOJ, but everything that's going on in the United States right now needed a softer, more cleansing handling of issues. You can't just chug these things. You got to slowly mix them. So he does go slower. And integrates things. They needed somebody like this. I think that's what Spirit's trying to say. In the past, we have the Lover's card. He's a good marriage of feminine and masculinity. It's a good marriage within him. He's got both. And it's a balance between the two of them. He keeps his emotions in check. Notice all these queen cards here. All these feminine and queen cards. He keeps his emotions in check. He is not a firebrand by any stretch of the imagination. He's a very contemplative person. He thinks a lot. He contemplative. He moves slowly. He keeps things in check. Oh, he needs to work on his messaging though. And he needs to know when to move quickly. I don't think we've ever seen this part before. We haven't seen him move quickly. So could this be messaging? He doesn't talk a lot. There's not a lot of messaging that comes from him. And that might be part of a problem, is that he does all these things that we don't know about because there's no leaks. There's no bragging about it. There's no headlines with it. He works in the background. He works quietly to get stuff done. It's not done quickly. It's not done out in the open. I think Spirit's saying maybe we could be just a little bit more generous, a little bit more charitable to him than we are. We're giving him very little credit for a very big problem that he's dealing with when it comes to the justice in this country. The outcome, it's a tough job. This has been a brutally tough job on him. I don't think we fully understand how difficult a task that's been put upon him. This has been a very stressful time for him to be in office and dealing with stuff. And I did mention that in the previous reading, that he's had to deal with stuff that other AGs have not had to deal with. And maybe if we can just dial it down a little bit, instead of trashing on Merrick Garland, praise the Jack Smiths. You know what I mean? We don't know what Merrick Garland's done behind the scenes. We don't know what minefields he's had to traverse in order to set up the foundation for the Jack Smiths of this world to launch off of. But assuming that he had to do something like that, it looks like the DOJ is a steady enough platform for the Jack Smiths to come in there with as the King of Swords and just absolutely skewer the wrongdoers. So take it for that. And that would be a bit more of an uplifting end to this message. Again, he's not going to be the AG forever. He will step down. It looks like he will be considered for a Supreme Court position. And honestly, I think it would play to his strengths. All right. So that's my reading on Attorney General Merrick Garland, how he's doing, and what his future plans might be. And then a special message from Spirit at the end as to what we should know about him. Thank you for watching this video and supporting my channel. I appreciate it. Thank you for all your likes and shares and comments and everything you do to feed the YouTube algorithm so that my video makes it out to a wider audience. 2 new viewers and new subscribers to the channel, and folks just discovering it. Hey, welcome. Glad you found us. Hope you found this reading insightful, and I'll catch you on the next one. Take care.